I'm gonna be honest, I'm writing this script at 12 a.m. and this video is about the index for the Sisters of Battle. I want that to be known. Why? Because the Codex is coming out Saturday, so this video will be out of date in 3 days. So, why am I doing this video? Because I know a lot of y'all will click on it because you'll assume it's about the Codex, and maybe you will decide my bravery and brevity will deserve a subscription. I mean, come on, I have to review that damn pony TTRPG when y'all hit 1,000 subs. So, let's get into this. I'm too tired to really think of lines for what ya indeed stealer, so I'm not gonna bother. So, the Sisters have a lot of lore, like a whole lot of lore. There's a war, a church monarch, a cult, a bunch of shit like that. I'll probably do a video in the future about these guys. Now they have a couple of male units in their army, which technically aren't a part of the Adepta Sororitas, kind of. They're more of Catholic crusaders working with the Sisters of Battle. Whatever, no real reason to focus on the lore, but it's a lot of interesting stuff. It really points out how crazy the Sisters are, but somehow they're at least partially right. Look, this might make sense when we go into their army rule. What is the army rule? Acts of faith. I'm showing a video here of me recording my phone to show all parts of this rule. It's long as fuck, but there's an easy way to describe it. Acts of Faith lets you roll a die to save every time a turn starts, both yours and your opponent's, and each time one of your units from the Adepta Sororitas status sheets are killed. These dice are saved to use during advanced rolls, battle shock tests, charge rolls, damage rolls, hit rolls, saving throws, and wound rolls. There's probably some abilities or stratagems or enhancements that add some dice or use dice for other reasons. If you've been keeping up, you'll notice that this is just a nerfed version of the fate dice from the Eldari. It's not bad, and you get these dice consistently during the game instead of only so many unless certain conditions are met. I'll get into that in the very near future. Honestly, the army rule is pretty good. Let's see if their index makes it better. Now, keep in mind, I haven't looked into the Codex at all. Maybe my local shop will have it. I might get that next week. Depends on a lot of things. Detachment is the Blood of Martyrs, which is a name that's actually based off one of their founders of the Sisters of Battle. The rule is actually pretty fantastic. Each time an Adepta Sororitas model from your army makes an attack, add 1 to the hit roll if that model's unit is below starting strength, and add 1 to the wound roll as well if that model's unit is below half strength. And then it clarifies the thing I mentioned in my Tyranids video, where if one unit is a starting strength, one wound is below starting strength. This really does a lot, especially with the addition of Miracle Dice Army Rule. It can essentially guarantee hits or wounds or certain random damages. Of course, you have to choose to use the Miracle Dice before actually rolling, so you may have gotten good stuff beforehand, so you'll need to pick and choose when and how to use these dice. Let's look at enhancements. For 10 points, we've got Saintly Example. When the bearer dies, you'll gain a D3 miracle die, which is a difficult thing to do. Like, you'll have to write this one down because it's a D3, not a D6 like every other one. So, I don't think this one is all that good. You'll get it and the D6, so roll 2 dice, but it's just hard to actually use and perform. For 20 points, you get Mantle of Ophelia. This can be added to 2 characters in the list, and this is a very good one. Every time an attack is allocated to the bearer, the damage characteristic is changed to 1. This can make a sniper unit a lot harder to get kills with. Snipers usually only get 1 attack, so a damage of 1 will make them rather laughable. Blade of Saint Eleanor is 25 points. The bearer gets 1 added to their melee weapons attacks, strength, and damage characteristics. 2 if the character has lost a wound. This is definitely a questionable value one unless it's added to a lone operative character, but this one really seems to only be great for a unit that doesn't attach to another unit, which in most cases isn't a good idea for a character unit without lone operative or the monster vehicle keyword like Primarchs or the Silent King. The last one is Litanies of Faith for 25 points again. This one lets you re-roll 1 miracle die and re-add it to the pool at the end of the command phase, and if the bearer is on the battlefield. If the bearer has lost 1 or more wounds or is leading a unit below half strength, you can re-roll up to 3 dice. Now, this one is always nice to have. I know some Eldar units do similar. This one is essentially a must-bring because you can change those 1s to probably something better. A 5 out of 6 chance of better results, right? Of these, I'd say Mantle of Ophelia should be added to your Warlord if you can do it, and the Litanies of Faith should be added if you can afford it. The rest are a if you got extra points, why not sort of thing, but aren't really good enough to try and add them. Lord, it's 1 AM by the time I'm writing this part. Let's do a rundown of the stratagems real quick. Divine Intervention is 1 command point, spend 1 to 3 miracle dice to bring back the last model destroyed in the unit this is used on, though not necessarily a character. It really implies the character with a number of wounds equal to the number of dice you discarded. Not the number on the dice, the amount of dice themselves. So spend your low roll dice on this sort of thing. Bringing back a dude is always nice. 1 more gun can make or break a situation. Light of the Emperor is also a point. This lets a character ignore any and all modifiers or characteristic changes to them except saves. While good on paper, I know some changes to Death Guard make this bullshit, but I think it could be good in certain situations, even if it is just incentives avoiding using shit on this unit. Holy Rage is 1 command point again. Until the end of the fight phase this was used in, either your fight phase or your opponent's fight phase, you add 1 to the melee wounds rolls. Really not bad, better if you have some 5s in your miracle pool. Spirit of the Martyr is 2 points. When models during the fight phase are destroyed, that model can make a melee attack. These sort of things are in a lot of armies and are always worth a 2-point cost to use. Definitely great. Suffering and Sacrifice is 1 point. This one forces enemy units within engagement range to attack the unit it is used on. Won't come up unless you keep 2 units close enough together to be charged into, and you want a specific unit of the 2 to survive or die. I don't really know what situations you use this in. There's probably something I'm not seeing. Last is Rejoice the Fallen for 1 point. You can use this on a unit that had one or more models destroyed during your opponent's shooting phase, and that unit can return fire after the enemy has resolved its attacks, if that unit is eligible to shoot. Really, these are good ones as well. I really don't know how tough sisters are. I've never gone against them, but if they can survive enough attacks, it may be good. Especially with how many sisters use Meltas, Flamers, and Boltors. Now, I'm really too tired to know if this is a good detachment. I know sisters have won some competitions, so it might be pretty decent. But this won't be worth it for more than 3 days. But no, I'm going to bed. I need some sleep. Shove off.